In today's video, I'm going to show you 5 ways to make money through cryptocurrency in 2023. The last couple of years have definitely not been great for the crypto markets. However, there are still opportunities to earn money, including passive income. And in today's video, I'll unpack what some of those methods are. Welcome back to Dynamo DeFi. My name is Patrick. As a reminder, nothing I say in this video is financial advice. Any new business venture, especially anything related to cryptocurrency, carries a lot of risk. So be sure to be aware of that before trying any of these methods. And remember that any of these methods will also require you to put in work, and they will require you to do your own research. Nothing is entirely free. Now, let's get into the video. The first method that we'll talk about today is trading. And this is the one that probably most of you are most familiar with. This is you're trying to buy low, sell high, or you're trying to use more complicated financial instruments such as shorting or options. And many of you may think this is the easiest way to make money in crypto, but I would argue this is actually the hardest. And the reason for this is that it's actually quite difficult to make money trading, and it requires a lot of practice and experience. This is just the price chart of Bitcoin, for example. But the thing is that imagine that you are trading Bitcoin. Its market cap is in the hundreds of billions of dollars, and you're trading against some of the best traders on the planet, right? You have quantitative hedge funds that are trading Bitcoin. You have some of the best market makers in the world. You have people who have dedicated 5-10 years to trading just this asset. And it's going to be really tough to find an edge. That doesn't mean it's impossible. There are people who successfully trade Bitcoin. However, it often takes years to work up to the point where you can trade an asset as large as Bitcoin profitably. If you have particular skills that relate to maybe coding and trading news or other sorts of things related to trading, by all means go for it. But it's going to be a lot more difficult if you're just starting out to make money trading something like this. And even if you look at the top cryptos over here on CoinGecko, then something like Ethereum, you're going to face many of the same issues. And so what I would say is if you are going to trade crypto, then the way to do it is to niche down, right? These are the top crypto categories on CoinGecko. You can get to that by going to cryptocurrencies and then categories. And so what I would do is I would choose one of these smaller categories and focus on that, because all of those problems that I mentioned a second ago, the things that make it difficult to make money trading, you've got the whales, you've got exchanges, you've got professional quantitative hedge funds, you've got people who have been trading it for years, all these things that apply to Bitcoin that make it difficult to make money trading. Those are not going to apply to some of these smaller things. For example, maybe fan tokens or music related tokens. And I'm just picking things off this list right now. That isn't to say that you should go out and learn how to trade music tokens. But what you could do is you could go through these categories and find a use case of crypto that's interesting to you. Maybe you have some experience in the real world you can bring to it. And then maybe you can start finding your edge. And so an example would be maybe you're someone who is really into sports. Maybe you're someone who even works in the industry, then perhaps you can find a way to find an edge with trading some of these fan tokens, right? Because there's fewer people who are investing in crypto that are actually following these various sports team fan tokens. Or maybe you work in the insurance industry, right? Maybe you really understand how insurance works. Maybe you're an actuary. Then you could probably do a deep dive in some of these smaller insurance related cryptos. I mean, the largest one has a market cap of 300 million, but the smaller ones have market caps in the single digit millions or even in the hundreds of thousands. I don't even know if all these projects are still active, but if you were an expert in the insurance industry or you decided to become an expert in it, then this is an area where you actually may be able to find an edge and you could understand all of the news related to this market, right? I mean, how many people in the world are closely tracking news updates for the cryptocurrency insurance market? I would guess it's probably fewer than 100, maybe a few dozen people are closely doing that. And so you can very quickly gain an edge and become an expert. Another thing you could do would be to go to a website like DeFi Llama, which tracks the decentralized finance protocols on different chains. And you could specialize in a specific chain. So if you're not going to specialize in a specific category, then what you could do instead is you could specialize in a specific chain. So over here on DeFi Llama, it's tough to be the specialist for Ethereum, right? There are people who do it, but many of them have years of experience. However, it's much easier to be the specialist on the Multiverse X, formerly known as Elrond ecosystem. And you're going to have some competition, but it's much easier, right? Or the NEAR ecosystem. Or Thorchain, great project, right? Maybe you could be an expert on the Thorchain ecosystem and know every new launch, know which projects have solid teams, know which projects are solving real problems, and then you could get in things early. And that's another way that you could find an edge, is by finding a chain that you like. And one thing to note, last thing I'll say on this, is that any of these things that you find an edge on, it should be a category that you're fundamentally bullish on, right? If you're fundamentally bullish on artificial intelligence and crypto, great. But if you don't think AI and crypto is going to work out, then don't pick that category. If you don't think Internet of Things and crypto is going to work out, don't pick that category, and vice versa. The second way to make money with crypto in 2023 is through airdrops. And what exactly is an airdrop? This is something that's kind of unique to crypto, and it might sound too good to be true if you've never experienced an airdrop or you've never used crypto heavily before. Basically, the way this works is when new protocols, like new crypto applications, new chains, when they're launching a token for the first time, what they'll often do is they'll distribute the initial distribution of those tokens to people who have used the protocol when they were testing it, or sometimes they even launch the protocol before launching a token, and then they'll reserve some portion of those tokens for people that are early users. And so basically what it means is that if you're an early user to a lot of different protocols, then you'll get airdrops. And many of the airdrops I've gotten have just been because I happen to be early to protocols. And sometimes these were minuscule, right? They could be a few $dozen, they could be a few $100, which is great. But some of these airdrops have been much more valuable, in the 4, even 5 figures. And so if you use a lot of protocols early, you're strategic about which ones you use, you can actually rack up a pretty good amount of money just for testing out new crypto applications. And the most obvious example of this year was Arbitrum. Arbitrum is a chain that settles onto Ethereum. It's an Ethereum layer 2. And many people who used Arbitrum, often with not a ton of money, got 4, even 5-figure airdrops just for using Arbitrum. So really huge way of distributing wealth. And a lot of you are probably wondering, why are these protocols doing this in the first place, right? What's the catch? And the reason is that as a protocol, as a chain wants to decentralize, they have to give out some of their governance tokens to people, right? Because if they're holding all the governance tokens, it's not decentralized. And so who would they want to give it to? They would want to give it to people who were early users, right? People who are in their community. And the second reason that they do it is it's a marketing tactic, right? Think of it as marketing spend. A lot of people used Arbitrum. A lot of people focused on Arbitrum initially simply because they thought they would get an airdrop. And then even after they did the airdrop, it was a huge injection of liquidity, money to the Arbitrum ecosystem, because all those people who were using their ecosystem suddenly had a lot of liquid tokens on Arbitrum to spend. So which airdrops would I look at in 2023? Well, the most obvious one, and this is one that I've made a few videos about on this channel recently, is FriendTech. FriendTech is a SocialFi app that allows you to buy keys for various content creators. They've basically come out and said they have an airdrop. There's an airdrop section on their app. I think this is a great both current narrative to hop on and also a great airdrop to be looking at farming. Another good one is Linea. Linea is a ZK EVM rollup that for scaling Ethereum. It was developed by Consensus, which is a huge company in the world of Ethereum. And unlike a lot of these other Ethereum layer 2 rollups like ZK Sync and Starknet that are having a ton of bots farm their airdrop, not as many people have been farming Linea yet. So I would definitely check this out if I was looking to farm airdrops. And the third airdrop I'd be looking at is Layer 0. Layer 0 is a cross-chain messaging protocol. It's for sending messages cross-chain, building cross-chain applications, transferring assets cross-chain, and Layer 0 has a really strong team, really solid list of developers, and tons of partners. So definitely this is one of the other protocols that I am trying to use in case they do an airdrop eventually. The third way to make money through crypto in 2023 is through mining. And most of you are probably also familiar with this. This is you are running a node on the Bitcoin network, on the Litecoin network, on the Monero network. You're validating transactions, and basically you are contributing computation power to run hashes and to validate transactions on the network. And in exchange, you receive a portion of fees that are spent on the network, as well as new coins that are issued on the network. And This is the one of these methods that I am the least familiar with. I haven't done mining on any sort of significant scale, and nowadays it's much more difficult to make money mining from home than it used to be. Not necessarily impossible, but this is largely done on an industrial scale at this point. And so I'm not going to talk too much about this. There's other channels that talk about some more creative new networks that you can still run miners for. There's some networks now that allow you to lease out GPUs like Akash and Render. However, I'm not going to talk too much about this, so recommend you search around if you want to get into mining. The fourth way to earn money through cryptocurrency in 2023 is through staking. So what exactly is staking? Well, staking is kind of the more modern, newer way of validating transactions besides mining. So mining is you are validating transactions by hash power. Staking is for proof of stake networks like Ethereum now, rather than validating transactions based on the nodes providing computational power, they are validating transactions based on nodes having a certain amount of the native token for the chain staked. And the reason for this is that it would be prohibitively expensive for someone to take over the network because they would have to spend so many billions of dollars for a large network like Ethereum. And so Ethereum is the largest network for staking, but there are actually many other crypto networks that you can stake on. And so the thing with this is you're basically investing in the native token of the chain, such as ETH, such as Sol, such as ADA, and then you are earning interest on top of that. So if you look on this website here, stakingrewards.com, then you can see all of the top staking assets and you can see their reward rates. So for example, Ethereum is 4.09% right now, Solana is 7%, Cardano is 3.03%, BNB is 1.78%, and so on and so forth. And you can see some of them like Polkadot are quite high, other ones such as BNB are quite low. And then one thing that's important to note here is that some of these rewards come from inflation, some of them come from fees on the network. So for Ethereum, you can see, for example, 0.15% are from inflation, 3.93% are, quote, real rewards. That means they're from fees on the network. And so that's phenomenal, right? That means that the vast majority of rewards, if you're staking ETH, are coming from real transactions. They're not coming from inflation. In fact, ETH has at times, as activity has picked up, been deflationary. So you're actually gaining interest. Something like Solana, on the other hand, and I'm actually a fan of Solana, but you can see here the reward rate is 7%, inflation rate is 7.31%. So you're just barely not keeping up with inflation. So the amount of SOL you have is going to go up, but that's all from inflation. So your percent of the total pie is actually not going up. So the way that I would play this would be, I would find a token here that I believed in anyways, and then I would use this as a way to get more of those tokens, right? So if you really believed in Atom, Cosmos Hub, maybe you would want to stake that. If you really believed in Solana, then maybe you'd want to stake that and get more SOL over time. And in fact, if you're holding any of these coins and you're not staking, you're basically leaving money on the table. And the fifth and final way that you can make money in crypto in 2023 is by providing a service. Crypto protocols are constantly looking for new staff. And if you have some sort of skill or you want to learn some sort of high value skill, then you may be able to provide this for them, either in exchange for cash or stablecoins, or maybe even in exchange for tokens for the protocol, oftentimes at the same rate that the seed round investors receive them in. So that means, for example, if you provide $1,000 worth of services, then there are actually protocols that will say, okay, well, we can pay you cash, or we can pay you $1,000 worth of tokens, or maybe even more than $1,000 worth of tokens, at the same rate that we sold them to seed round investors. And many, many projects reserve tokens for this purpose. So if there's a project that you like, they're just getting started, and you can provide them a service, you can actually get tokens for that project, sometimes a lot of tokens for that project, by doing something for them. And what exactly would you be doing for these projects? Well, just to name a few examples, there's web development, there's copywriting, there's social media management, there's community management if they have a Discord or Telegram community, and there's a whole bunch of other things that you could do. Think about any sort of skill that a business needs. Businesses that are building in crypto are going to need those skills as well. And so just to give an example of someone who's doing this successfully, here's this marketing studio called Scribe. I have no affiliation with them, but they have a really strong reputation, and they provide copywriting and technical marketing services for various cryptocurrency projects. But as the crypto market grows, they're also going to benefit because they've built such a strong reputation. So if you can do some sort of agency or something like this, then you're going to benefit tremendously from any growth in the crypto market, and you may be able to negotiate some good deals for tokens along the way. Personally, a way that I'm doing this is that I am making content, right? I have a YouTube channel, which you're watching at this very moment, and then I have a newsletter that's one of the top 100 Substacks about crypto. And those are the 5 ways to make money in cryptocurrency in 2023. For more content like this, be sure to like and subscribe. And until next time, this is Dynamo DeFi.